So I was scrolling on Facebook, as you do, and I stumbled across a video that was advertising Watercooled PCs, like the one behind me. The basic premise was that Watercooled PCs are great for everyone. Hell, even your own grandmother should have one because they run cooler, faster, and quieter. Oh, and they look great too. But the truth isn't all cool and quiet in the world of water cooling. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you need to consider before investing in that shiny new water-cooled rig, like the Renegade behind me. Let's roll that intro. So over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to cover the following key points. You're going to be water cooling experts by the end of this. So why do you need to cool your PC in the first place? Closed loop versus open loop cooling, and reasons you should invest in water cooling, as well as what you should avoid and why you should avoid water cooling in certain instances. Heat is the inevitable byproduct of computer hardware operation, but too much heat, can cause your PC to slow down. For example, if the CPU temperature is too high, the CPU will trigger a feature that reduces performance in order to avoid damaging the processor. It's often referred to as thermal throttling or dynamic frequency scaling. In an ideal world, we'd want to keep our components cool all the time so we don't have to scale down performance at all, even when performing the hardest of tasks. To achieve this, we use various types of fans, heat sinks, and water coolers in our systems to keep them cool. So closed loop versus open loop cooling. So now we've been reminded why we need to cool our components, we can move on to water cooling in general. If you're new to this, you may have seen that there are two key types of water cooling being advertised: closed loop and open loop. First, let's break down the key differences between these two loops before we go on to focus on the details of open loop cooling, like the rig behind me, hopefully helping you decide which one's best for you. So with that said, closed loops. Essentially, a closed loop is a pre-built water cooling loop that comes ready to use out of the box. We can install these in our PC by simply attaching the radiator and fan assembly to the case and attach the CPU block to, you guessed it, the CPU. There are also sometimes known as all-in-one water coolers, or just AIO for short. There are three main parts to these coolers: the radiator, the tubing, and the pump. With these coolers, there isn't anything you need to do yourself except from actually installing them in your system, and there's no further maintenance required. They're kind of plug and play. So now that we know what a closed loop is, let's further explore open loops. An open loop is designed by your computer manufacturer, or if you're building the PC yourself, by yourself. They are more expensive, more difficult to install, and require yearly maintenance to provide consistently good performance. The key components of an open loop are as follows: water blocks, radiators, pumps, reservoirs, fittings, tubings, and coolant, all of which can be customized to meet the needs of your cooling and your aesthetics. Together, they're also known as a custom water cooling loop. Unlike closed loop options, there are considerably more variables to consider. Each one of those components makes up the loop has countless variables, from size, upgradability, cooling potential, and aesthetics, as well as other options. Take for example radiators. These come in many sizes: 120, 240, 360, and even 480mm sizes, with various thicknesses, thin densities, and port layouts. Getting the options right makes the difference between a well-running, well-balanced, and good-looking loop to something that is potentially noisy than even a traditional air cooler or AIO cooler. And they can also have serious performance and maintenance issues if you get it wrong. So to summarize to this point, I've made a handy table. Last but not least, this benefit is a personal one, but let's face it, if you're at all interested in technology, open loop water-cooled PCs look amazing, and they are the pinnacle of expressing yourself through the design of your PC. At Utopia, we offer our flagship water cooling system, the Renegade, with three configuration options: soft tubing, hard tubing, and fully customized. The fully custom option will see us choose each part of the loop to ensure you get exactly what you're after for a truly custom built PC. So reasons not to invest in open loop water cooling. Adding an open loop to your system isn't cheap. From all the parts you need, the additional fans, and the time it takes to build and test, which is likely to be days of work if you do it correctly, you're going to be adding a lot of cost to your system. If you're looking for the best value against performance, open loop water cooling is unlikely to deliver it. It's harder to upgrade. Replacing your CPU or GPU is a pretty simple upgrade for most systems, and one at Utopia we design our PCs allowing our customers to be able to do this easily. However, once a system is fitted with an open loop water cooling system, replacing these components means a full drain of the loop and potentially a replacement of the component's water block in the case of the GPU. In order to keep your loop running well, you will need to drain and refill your loop with fluid at least every 12 months or so. These systems are not turn on and forget. If this isn't for you, then consider an AIO or perhaps an air cooling solution. But for some, we love tinkering, in which case it's great. Avoid if your PC is not absolutely full spec. Let's say you're thinking of buying a Ryzen 7 or an Intel i7 chip and then turning it into a Watercooled PC. You'd be much better for your build to avoid heavily investing in water cooling on those lower end chips and instead put your money towards buying a higher end chip. Even without overclocking, lower to mid-range chips are never likely to outperform their higher end components. There are exceptions to this rule, say if you're wanting a whisper quiet PC or perhaps something in a really small form factor, but these are niche products rather than mainstream builds. I've seen many pretty loops that are configured incorrectly and in turn their components run hotter than they would have if they had just been cooled with a decent AIO or air cooling setup. There is a common misunderstanding of the noise that a water-cooled PC makes. Many have many fans as well as a pump to drive the water around the loop, which can create quite a racket on its own. And finally, the movement of the water itself. Now a good loop, like the one behind me, can be configured with multiple radiators, fans and a fan curve that can be optimised to allow them to run at lower speeds. But if this step is missed, which it is often by home builders, and even some online PC manufacturers of water-cooled PCs, you end up with a noisy rig. So in conclusion, there you have it. Hopefully now you can see all the key reasons water cooling isn't for everyone, but you can also see why some do choose it. And when you do, you're treated to a whole host of great benefits, as well as having what I believe the best looking possible PC on your desk. If you're interested in buying a water-cooled PC or just have any questions about water cooling, then please check out the Renegade systems in the link below. If you have any other questions, water cooling or otherwise, anything tech related really, drop a comment below, and if you hadn't already hit subscribe, smash that button because you've no idea how much it helps us, the team at Utopia, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Cheers everyone.